Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustle and dreams in every loop. In the park he starts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
Flatbush, reporting from Frankie from Flatbush headquarters on a Sunday morning. It's March the 23rd, 2025. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay in the chat. We always got to check that out because our audio has let us down quite a few times. But it's March 23rd, 2025, 10:03 a.m. here on the East Coast of America. Uh, Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2. Testing, 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 testing. Should be okay. Harlan Abraham is here. Harlan, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Todd is here. Howdy. Yeah, on your way in, please give a like and a thumbs up. And consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We got a goal of going all the way up to 1,000 subscribers, and we've got a long way to go, but we'd appreciate your help with that. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to go the extra mile, you can join the Inner Circle. Inner Circle members, it's an exclusive club, $5 a month, and you get exclusive items. You get exclusive emojis that you can use in the chat and any comments that you make on the videos. You get exclusive documents. You get the Frankie from Flatbush theme song as an MP3, which you can then put on all of your various playlists and play it all day long at your own convenience, if that's what you want to do. ND Jets loves the intro song, and if you join the Inner Circle, it can be all yours. MP3, you download it, use it, listen to it. Listen to it on your way to work. Why not? It's Coffee with Frankie on Sundays. And we also have now available in the description. Let me know what you guys think about this. We also have coffee mugs available. Not Coffee with Frankie coffee mugs, but Jet coffee mugs with an affiliate link. So if you want to get yourself a Jet coffee mug, that way you could sip out of your Jet's coffee mug while watching and participating in Coffee with Frankie. You can do that with the link in the description. Seems like the video is going in and out. Let me check something. Doobie doobie doo. We always have problems on the Coffee with Frankie show. Okay, JoJo's here. Good morning to JoJo. JoJo was a man, Tucson, Arizona. Indy Jets. Robbie Oak, the legendary Robbie Oak. Anybody remember Robbie Oak from back in the day? He's one of the OGs of the Jet chat rooms. Robbie Oak is here, ladies and gentlemen. If you can believe that. Indy Jet says sounding good. Todd says sounding good. Jet 41 is here. Good, good. All right. Excellent. Thomas Bon Jovi. Living on a Prayer with Thomas Bon Jovi. Good morning, Harlan Abraham, loud and clear, licking chicken. All right, Tony Alexio, good morning to all. Harlan Abraham, congrats on over 600 subscribers. Indy Jet says coffee with Frankie mug would be great. Yeah, but then I'd have to design it. Then I have to come up with a store. I thought about this, Indy Jets. I was like, first of all, you have to design it. Then you have to have a store where people can buy it, right? Uh, you know, and then you're responsible for shipping and this and that. And then I was like, well, what if I just did an affiliate deal with Fanatics, which is what the affiliate deal is? They already have coffee mugs. They're not coffee with Frankie coffee mugs, but they're Jets coffee mugs. They already have them. And all I have to do is just provide the link. And if you click the link and buy something, I get a cut. No extra cost to you. So I was like, well, that's easier, right? I don't know how to run a store, Indie Chats. You think I can run? I can barely run a headset. I'm going to run an online store. What am I? Some sort of e-tailer? So I don't know how to do all that. I mean, the youngsters, these young kids, like Ryan and Matt O'Leary and Jets Media, Robbie. These people, Jake Asman, they know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. That's for young people to do. I guess they can figure out how to have a channel and an online store and merchandise and sponsors, and I don't know how to do any of that. I'll be honest with you. I can create a link and put it in the description, and if you're looking for a Jets coffee mug, I mean, the Fanatics is like the official, partner of the NFL in terms of a lot of the merchandise and things of that nature that they sell online. So I thought, okay, this is a good thing. I'll be an affiliate. I'll provide a link. You could get a Jets coffee mug or two. They're nice mugs. I like them. I haven't got one yet, but I will. And that way they deal with it. All I do is send them traffic. That's uh, that's where I'm at this point in time. So if you're looking for a nice Jets coffee mug, there's a link in the description. Check that out and take it from there. But yeah, just in case you're looking for a Jets coffee mug, so lots of options for you. But subscriptions are free, of course, and those are the most appreciated. Robbie Oak, yeah, Robbie Oak. I remember you, Robbie Oak. I remember. I remember. So it's amazing some of the things I remember. Joe Mike is here. Now, Joe Mike, for those who don't know, provided some excellent information uh, earlier earlier this week in the comments section on this channel about some of the cap ramifications. Joe is one of the first ones to notify me that Brandon Eccles, in fact, his contract will not qualify us for any comp picks. And I went and checked it out, and it was true. And that's unfortunate for us. So good job by Joe Mike. Good to see Joe. Harlan Abraham. I already have plenty of coffee mugs using my Talking Jets with Tigo. Yeah, see, like a guy like Tigo, mi amigo Tigo, right? He can figure out how to do all this. He's one of these young fellers. They know how to do it, Harlan. Yeah, but hey, so this one may not be for you, Harlan. Joe Mike says, here's another thing. Tyler Conklin. So right now, Joe, and I put this up on because you're the one who spurred me to look at it, but based on your comment on one of my previous videos, and so I put it out on X. So if you're not following me on X, you should. X.com/Flatbush Frankie. I put out a lot of good information there. Um, and so I put out, Joe, that currently that contract from Conklin currently, and it could change based on who we sign, whatever. But right now, the Conklin deal is netting us a seventh round, late round comp pick. It is, according to Over the Cap. Now, assuming Over the Cap knows what they're doing and what they're talking about. So I have to go on that. So we'll have to see about that. Um, hopefully, it sticks. So Eccles isn't getting us anything. Hopefully Conklin can get us a seventh. That was a surprisingly low contract for Conklin. And at that deal, I don't understand why we didn't resign him. I mean, for basically the same money, and just give him 2 or 3 years. Very strange. Obviously, the new regime just didn't want Tyler Conklin under any circumstances, I guess. Doesn't make sense to me. If they get enough traffic from you, maybe they will design yeah, maybe. But it's fanatics, Harlan. I think they have I think they have a lot larger concerns than coffee with Frankie. uh, so here's a trade rumor. I've heard this, Indy. Herbert to the Vikings, McCarthy to the Chargers. So the reason this is coming up, of course, everybody's going to basically try to make associations with all the Michigan players that Jim Harbaugh had, and put them on the Chargers. Now, I don't. What would be the what would be the point of doing this from the Chargers' point of view? I mean, you're going to get J.J. McCarthy. Okay, Jim Harbaugh believes in him, but he hasn't taken a snap in the NFL. You have Justin Herbert, who's a very good quarterback in the NFL, makes a lot of money. So you could say, well, they want to reduce their cap hit with Herbie, but you're taking a very large chance. And Jim Harbaugh is no spring chicken. She's going to want to start winning here soon. But you're taking a very large chance that J.J. McCarthy can do it in the NFL level, and he did it. He did a good job for Harbaugh at Michigan and won the national title and all that. But I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I also don't believe it because it doesn't make sense from a cap perspective for the Vikings. The Vikings have spent a lot of money this offseason to build up a team around McCarthy. They believe in McCarthy. And there's an advantage if McCarthy is good. There's an advantage of having, of course, the quarterback on the rookie contract. And he's got everything he needs now. What does McCarthy need? He's got the offensive line now. They fixed that up. They have a good defense. They were good last year. They improved that. Now they have the run. They have the running game as well. He's got Justin Jefferson. He's got everything he needs to succeed. And so, and he's got the play caller, of course, with Kevin O'Connell. So I'm not buying. I'm not buying this one, Indy. Personally, I understand why people are making the connections. It makes sense on some levels. They say the trade is all but done. Who says? What's the source, Indy? I'm looking at Bleacher Report right here. There's nothing on it. Who's talking about it? I have all the national reporters. No, nobody's talking about it. Who's talking about this, Indy? So one of the things we're going to do today is take a look at these reporters and give them some grades. So let's look at Pro Football Rumors, the aggregator. Maybe it's on here. Shador Sanders unlikely to fall out of first round. Jets, Giants, Browns, Steelers in play for Shador Sanders. So Jordan Reed says he does not anticipate Sanders falling past the Jets, who hold the number 7 selection. So Shador Sanders to the Jets, maybe. NFL rumors: Rogers, Wilson, Ward, Browns to host Tyler Shuck. I'm not seeing anything about this, Indy. Mike Tomlin and DK Metcalf. I've heard the rumors. I've heard it mentioned. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Panthers to sign. So it's not on the aggregator site. It's not. No, none of the national reporters are reporting this that I can see on X anyway. There's a new Samini article out now. talking about. So one thing you notice with these reporters, they're all harping on one issue in particular, which is that the Jets have to pay Sauce and Garrett Wilson immediately. All of the reporters are hammering that point, so obviously they've gotten the message from their higher ups that that's the point to make the Jets fans nervous about this month. Quincy Williams deserves a raise, a Jets draft oddity. So this does not seem like a good Samini article at all. He's talking about drafting Tyler Warren. That's fine. Everybody knows we could draft Tyler Warren. Bryce, all these things are just obvious things. Yes, Sauce is going to get a big contract. We understand. Garrett Wilson's going to get a big contract. We understand. Let's see. Indy Jets. Yeah, so Indy Jets, let me know where this information is coming from. I can't verify it. I have a whole column of. I'll show you guys. I mean, here's an easy thing to do. Here's an easy thing to do. Let's check this out. It's going to be somewhat annoying because the first face you see is not going to be one you like. But uh, so one of the things to do is you just create a list. Here's my list: NFL national writers, and Rossini's on here. She has a post about her stupid crap. Greg Bedard's on here because he covers the Patriots. Here's Josina. Now, maybe this is what you're talking about. Josina could be some change coming in the north. Maybe this is what you're talking about, Indy Jets. It's definitely being contemplated. I'll let you know, but that's nothing. Now, when she says, now, Josina Anderson's going to be on my list of accurate reporters. When she says something, I've never seen anything where she got anything wrong. Uh, and so maybe this is what Josina's alluding to here, because if you think about the North, there's really only two teams that could be making big news from any of the North divisions as of right now, which is the Steelers, excuse me, and the Vikings. So maybe this is what she's talking about. Now, as we know, she often writes in cryptic language, and she has an unusual writing style. But when she says, when she puts out actual facts and information, I have yet to see her get anything wrong. You guys let me know if you guys have it any differently. Grant Cohn's on here because he covers the 49ers. Adam Schefter. So Schefter not saying anything, you know, Fowler, Schefter, Aaron Wilson. Nobody. I'm not seeing anybody have anything except maybe it's the it's what that's what Josine is talking about. Well, it would certainly be interesting. It would put the. I mean, it would make the Vikings instant Super Bowl contenders. That's for sure. But it would be it would make the Chargers kind of iffy. It's like, all right, well, we got to see what this McCarthy kid can do in the NFL. That is. Todd says Indy Jets with the scoop. Todd says I'm okay with trading a couple of guys for first round picks, even if I have zero. Collect them next year. Even if I have zero, collect them next year. Yeah, but that's something we're not seeing any real movement on the trade front. Muji has not made any trades so far. We're not collecting picks, as far as I can tell. That's something that is concerning about the offseason direction. It's not clear what the direction is. Are we trying to get more comp picks? If so, some of the contracts we signed don't make any sense. And some of the contracts we didn't sign don't make any sense. In other words, if we were trying to maximize our comp picks, you could have taken the 12 million APY that you gave to Brandon Stevens and instead signed Brandon Eccles, Tyler Conklin, and Levi Onwuzurike and improved the team in three areas and done better in terms of comp picks. We probably would have a fourth and a fifth if we did that rather than what we have now. Because that Stevens contract is large and it's canceling out some of the other comp pick consideration that we could have. And two out of three of those guys, if we did that, wouldn't count against the comp pick formula because we'd be retaining them. So I don't know, but So some of these moves and non-moves are concerning because they don't seem to make any logical sense. If we were going to gear up for the 26 draft, then we'd be making all kinds of trades and we'd be getting draft compensation and we'd be saying, "All right, we're loading up, for 26." Okay. But that's not happening. We're not. No one's been traded. In fact, Aaron Rodgers could have been traded. He wasn't. Devontae Adams could have been traded. He wasn't. Lazard or Alan Lazard could be traded. He's still on our roster. Michael Clemens maybe could be traded. He's still on our roster. So what are we doing? Andy Jet says, I think the only trade we do is trading back into the late first for someone. Trading back into the late first. Here's the problem with trading back into the late first is those teams that are really good and in the back of the first round, they have like one or two needs on their team, right? They're the good teams. They're the teams in the gated community. So what's the chance they're going to give up their first round pick when they need somebody like Simmons or like Josh Connerly or those type of players who are in the back of the first round? Those teams that are picking there have need one or two guys. They don't need to stockpile picks. They need very specific things to plug into their team to keep going on their championship runs. So it's hard to kind of trade into the back into the first round without giving up a ton, you know, back. So that's the problem with that. Tony Lexico. Eccles is better and cheaper than Stevens. He might be, but apparently the league didn't think so. So here's the interesting thing about Stevens. Um, there were multiple bidders. I have confirmed. Frankie from Flatbush can confirm that there were multiple bidders for Stevens' services, including the Dallas Cowboys, who put in a quote big bid. Look at this camera stuff. Maybe I need to get a new camera. Maybe this one just isn't good enough. Nothing's ever good enough. When it comes to equipment, you should just buy the most expensive stuff you can afford. Anyways, but so there were multiple bidders for Brandon Stevens, including the Dallas Cowboys, who put in a quote big bid for Brandon Stevens. Now, the rest of the league, including the Jets, didn't think that Eccles was better because Eccles only got a $3 million deal with the Steelers. And that tells you that the whole league didn't think he was worth more than that. So it's kind of interesting. I think it would have been better for us to do that and let him compete with Quantez Stiggers and a rookie that we take. Maybe we take a fourth round rookie, something like that. Let those three compete. That's a cheap way to handle the cornerback position. Maybe he wins the competition, maybe he doesn't, but we all know he's pretty good on special teams anyway. So maybe Stiggers beats him out. Maybe the rookie beats him out. Instead, we paid $12 million to Stevens. That kills our comp picks. It does no good for the comp picks. And we could have taken the leftover money. So you could have had Eccles for 3 or 4. You could take the leftover money from that, the 12 you gave for Stevens, give 5 per year to on Wuzurike, give 4 per year to um, Conklin, and now you've got more of your roster filled out at a higher quality with the same amount of money, and you're getting a better comp pick situation. So the league thinks that Stevens is better than Eccles, but I think in our situation, you could have taken that chance. We have Stiggers on the roster. We could draft another cornerback, let them compete, and spread the money out and improve the team in other areas. So that's the way I look at it. And that's the interesting thing, Tony. Like the contracts tell you what the league and what the teams think about these people. B-Trav, which doesn't mean they're right, but just tells you what they think. AG must like something about, yeah, and that's the thing, B-Trav. It's like this is the other aspect of it that I can't wrap my head around. Now, there's things to like about Stevens. If you watch him on tape, you see what coaches would like about him. He has good length. He has good athleticism. He has excellent maneuverability, the short area quickness, and turns his hips very well, and all that kind of stuff. So there's things to like. It's not like you look at the tape and it's like, oh my God, this guy is horrible. No, there's things to like for sure. But the question is, could we have spread that money around differently to build the roster up differently? Especially because we were told this is not a rebuild. That's what we were told. It would be different if we were told, yes, this is a rebuild. We're rebuilding. Then you say, okay. and you're not as critical of the roster moves because we're rebuilding. But we were told we're trying to win now. That's what we were told. That's what the players were told. So then you have a different level of criticism of the roster building when you're told that and when the players are told that. So there's things to like about Stevens. The question is, do you like him 12 million per year? Do you like him that much? And then the second part of it is what we're saying is we're going to coach Brandon Stevens better than the Baltimore Ravens. Do we really think our coaches are better at being able to coach defensive backs and cornerbacks than the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, I find that hard to believe. You ask me. The Baltimore Ravens, as we all know, are one of the teams in the gated community. They're one of the teams that get comp picks every year, pretty much, because they know what they're doing, and they're in the playoff hunt every single year. Lamar's been a little falling short on the playoff part of it, as we all know, but eventually he'll break through, I think. And so they're one of the best teams in the whole league, and they're in the gated community, and we're in the ghetto, and we're saying we're going to coach up Brandon Stevens better than the Ravens. What? We are? Since when do we do anything better than the Ravens? So those are the things that are confusing about me. It's not just that we acquired Brandon Stevens, it's the cost that we acquired him for, what we could have used that money for alternatively, and the idea that we are going to be the ones to turn it around with Brandon Stevens and turn him into, a very good corner. Us. But the Baltimore Ravens, they couldn't figure it out. But we are going to do it. Uh okay. I mean, I hope so. Hope so, AG. Maybe AG has that great defensive back coaching thing going on. But I mean, it just seems unlikely to me. But we'll see. Maybe we are. Maybe we have the best defensive back coaches in the history of football, and we could turn a guy who has the natural ability that Stevens does have and make him into a solid cornerback. All right. Okay. All right. It seems like seems like a reach to me, but boy, look at this camera. What is going on with this thing? I wish I knew. I'll just keep changing the settings. Maybe we'll just keep it here. All right, maybe we'll do it like this. Maybe this is the way to do it. Stevens looks like a JD bust. Well, you mean an MD bust. DM. We got DM the GM now, Tony. We got DM the GM. Darren Muji, the GM. I mean, we can't call him a bust yet, Tony. He hasn't gotten on the damn field. Like, maybe he'll be great. I don't know. I mean, look, let's be hopeful about it. But there's things about that signing that you just don't like, and it just like doesn't. It doesn't seem like if we were going to do that, then why weren't haven't we been more aggressive at the defensive tackle position and the wide receiver position and the tight end position? It's like some of these moves. It's like we're I don't really understand the direction, the vision, where we're going. If we're going to be aggressive on Stevens, we couldn't spend $4 million on Tyler Conklin. We couldn't spend $5 million on Levi Onwuzurike. What? Why? I mean, Conklin doesn't cost you anything in the formula to re-sign your own guy, and you got a tiny little contract with the Chargers. You could have easily beat that and have it not affect your cap at all, and no problems. And he's a great guy in the locker room and great with the press and everything else. So it's like sometimes we're being aggressive and sometimes we're not. And it's like I don't see I'm right now I'm not really seeing the vision other than the trend of yeah, we're getting young guys. Okay, that's great. But a lot of the young guys we're getting are not good. Rashad Weaver is not good. Jay Tufele is not good. Um, you know, Byron Cowart is not very good. So some of these guys that we're signing, they're just tomato cans. And it's like, all right, well, it's hard to find defensive tackles. Maybe we could get one in the draft, one maybe, but you're not going to find two. Probably it's hard to find them. Um, so I don't know. So this direction of this thing is confusing me at the moment. So Joe Mike says I'm hoping the Jets get active in the free agent market after the draft. Well, the problem with that, Joe, is that who's going to be left to sign? So that could happen. That's something to watch. So the comp period ends the Monday after the draft. And so anybody you sign after that point doesn't count in this comp pick formula at all. So you can sign anyone you want to any kind of deal. So that could be a strategy. But then, who's going to be left to sign? Yeah, the good, all the good players are going to be gone. So maybe we'll get a solid guy or two. After that, maybe we have a handshake deal with a guy like Mo Alley Cox or something. That would be nice. And we're just waiting because we don't want that deal to affect the comp pick formula. Okay, all right, that'd be nice. It's also a little risky because you don't know necessarily what you're getting in the draft. If we draft two tight ends in the draft that we really love, are we going to renege on our handshake deal with Mo Alley Cox? Right. Uh, so Chidi Dookie Renaissance 13 became a member of the inner circle. All right, let's welcome in. Man, this camera stinks. They need a new camera. Well, the more people who join, the more money I have, and maybe I can afford a real camera. But thanks for joining, Cheaty Dookie. Renaissance 13, welcome in, welcome aboard, welcome to the inner circle. I will remind you to look at the community tab. The community tab is where you will get most of your exclusive items. There's also some exclusive videos for you to take a look at, Cheaty. Um, and so check that out. Community tab for the win. Joe Mike says DJ Reed could have been traded. Yeah, if we knew we were getting rid of DJ Reed, but we were going for it last year, and so that's a problem. That's a problem with going for it and missing. There's a lot of problems with going for it and missing, Joe, if you think about it. When you go for it and miss, it sets you back. It's hard. But we weren't going to trade a guy like that because we thought we could win. But we're really up to the end. I mean, toward the end there. And that was the problem. We weren't going to do that. I mean, shoot, if you were going to sign frickin' Brandon Stevens for 12, why not just sign DJ Reed for 13 or something? I mean, what did DJ Reed get? Well, let's take a look at DJ Reed's contract. I mean, I don't think anybody thought we were going to spend 12 per year on any cornerback. People were saying like, "Oh, they'll just re-sign Eccles for, and let him compete." Let's look at DJ Reed. What did he actually get? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Spot track. Uh, uh, 16. Average annual salary of 16. So, like, if you signed him early, could you get him for 14? You know what I mean? Before you hit the market? Yeah. I mean, would you rather have DJ Reed for 14 or Brandon Stevens for 12? You know? I mean, we could have just signed the guy, you know? But this is a good deal for DJ. And so, I feel happy for him. I'm going to root for DJ Reed. I'm a DJ Reed fan for life. I'm not one of these people, once they leave the team, I hate them. That's not me at all. So it's the NFC, anyways. We should like the Lions. Like the Lions should probably be one of those teams that we look at and sort of root for because that's where AG comes from and some of our coaches and so forth. So he goes there, and we're not going to have to compete with them very much. And maybe maybe they could challenge the Eagles for the NFC crown this year, and that'd be fun to see DJ Reed doing stuff like that. Well, I think. JoJo says it's an obvious rebuild this year. Well, that's not what we were told, JoJo. So then what you're saying is AG's a liar, and he lied to the players and he lied to the fans. And then second, why are we spending all this money on Justin Fields then? We could have rebuilt with Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis. Why did we have to spend $40 million on Justin Fields if it's an obvious rebuild? So that's the thing I can't wrap my head around. It's like if we were rebuilding, it'd be fine. Just tell us it's a rebuild. It would suck, but then you would make moves commensurate with rebuilding. You would trade away the people that aren't going to be here long term. You'd recoup all the picks you can get. You'd be rebuild through the draft, but that's not happening. If this is a rebuild, where's the trades? If it's a rebuild, we should be trading Quincy and Quinnen and probably Sauce and just get tons and tons and tons of picks. Recoup all the picks you can get and rebuild through the draft because it's a rebuild. You're not going to be good for 3 years anyway. Well, that's not what's happening. So I don't know. They're trying to thread the needle, JoJo, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. To be honest with you, 16, Robbie, right on the number. 16, indeed, it was, Robbie. 16 he got on the open market. So if you went to him early before he hit the open market and you offered him 14, he probably would have took it. You know, once they hit the open market, the price goes up. So if you went to him early and you said, how about 14? You know, two more than what we're going to pay Brandon Stevens, you could have got a much better cornerback. So it's weird. Dime drawer 4. We should go after Craven Moorhead. Who the hell is Craven Moorhead? Is that a real guy? Craven, never heard of him. Craven Moorhead. Looks like a real guy. Uh, Craven Moorhead? So, this is not a football player. Adult video director for Peter North. Oh, all right. Well, that's good. That's good. Let's see about this camera. Bobby Oak, one of my guys. Chidi says you can just sign anyone you want. You're competing with other teams. Reed wants to be on the other team. Yeah, but if you went to him early and you offered him 14, he probably would have come back. Because if you go to him early, that eliminates the chance he gets injured. So we all know that we have to compete with other teams, but that's one of the reasons to get things done early because then you're not competing. So are we going to extend Garrett and Sauce early, or Brees or Jermaine? That's one of the advantages you have when you do the contracts early. And you say, look, we'll give you the money now, lock in this contract, then you're not risking injury, in terms of like you might get injured and that'll hurt your value. So let's lock it in and let's go. Once they hit the open market, price goes up because the season's over. Risk of injury is now zero for that year, and teams are bidding for him. You know, Now he might have rejected it. He might have said, "No, I can do better on the open market. I'm going to go to the open market." But you could have offered it to him, and I don't think that we did. There was no reporting that we offered Reed any kind of contract. And that's the thing. Robbie says, "No, we knew at the beginning of the year that we were moving on." But why? That does seem to be the case. But my question is why? I mean, then we replaced him with Brandon Stevens. We didn't replace him with Carlton Davis. We replaced him with Brandon Stevens. And maybe Brandon Stevens could turn into DJ Reed in terms of quality, but so far he's not. And we did it at 12 million. So there's a delta of 4 million here. But who knows? La Bay. It's going to be fun watching Jameis Winston, outplay Fields every week for a fraction of the price. Well, I don't know if Jameis Winston's going to outplay anybody. I mean, that guy throws interceptions like crazy. He likes to throw bombs and he throws a pretty ball. That's true. That's true. Stay Woke TV. Frankie, happy you're back, brother. Well, I'm happy I'm back. Stay Woke TV. Yeah, they got me. That guy got me. Well, we got rid of him. Joe Mike, let's hope Muji has a draft like the 74 Steelers. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, I mean, look, Joe, this is a concerning point. It seems like they're putting a lot of pressure on this draft. Like, oh, we'll just hit on all our draft picks. It's like, what? Nobody hits on all their draft picks. Like they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves to hit on these draft picks. Um, and that just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. So, uh, yeah, you can hope for it. I mean, the more modern versions were the 2018 Saints or 17 Saints, one of those, where they hit on all those people, Alvin Kamara and all the people they got. And then our draft in 2022 was one of the best, um, or at least very good. So, like, you're gonna have a draft like that. I mean, boy, oh boy, that puts a lot of pressure on you. Atomic Clock. Do you think De'Ami Brown or Akine would? Yeah, I like both of those. Atomic Clock. I had De'Ami Brown on my list, and Akine. Like Westbrook Akine was a very sneaky good signing by the Dolphins. That guy, he's a decent receiver. He'll get you some yardage, get you some catches, but he's also a really good blocker. And he signed for so little money. We could have had a guy like that. We went for Tyler Johnson, but I don't see why Westbrook Akine couldn't have come in here. I mean, he's not gonna take any real targets away from Garrett Wilson. He's not gonna be one of those types where he's upset that he's only getting, 5 targets or something. So that was a guy I had my eye on both of these dudes. Johnny Brown's more of a pick on, he's still young and has a lot of potential and started to sort of come on at the end of last year, you know? And so you think, okay, maybe he's ascending. Westbrook Akine is just a solid guy to have on your team. And the Dolphins got him for such a low cost. I thought that was valuable. Yeah, Reed said that, but people say things all the time. And if you to him and you offer him a big deal and you say, look, we're going to take the injury risk off the table for you, he could say it. Or he could say, I'm going to the market. So, yeah. It's weird to me, Robbie. I don't understand the philosophy of it. You could have just signed. I mean, you could have taken that $12 million and spread it out so much differently. The woke says, I'm good with either Warren, Membu, McMillan, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or Sanders. Yeah, I would take McMillan out of there, woke. But yeah, me too with this. So it's possible. I mean, Carter or Hunter, it's kind of hard to see them slide to us. But Warren, Membu, Sanders, I mean, boy, if Sanders slid to us, that would be the decision of all decisions. Because I don't know what they're thinking. Uh, I'm sure they have contingency plan for it. Like I'm sure they know if Sanders is there at 7, we're taking him or not. Like that you have to think about that contingency. It just depends on what they think. It's from the reporting, as far as we know from the reporting, all the national reporters. Um, the opinions on Sanders are pretty varied. There's not a consensus. It seems like currently Cam Ward is a consensus number one. Seems like he's going first overall, and seems to be pretty much a lot of consensus on that, at least as of right now. Then from the reporting, some teams really like Sanders, some teams don't. But I also can't see him getting past the Giants. I mean, what are the Giants going to do? The Giants pretty much have to take a quarterback. Uh, and so if Sanders is there, don't they have to take Sanders? I mean, they can't. I mean, it'd be pretty risky to let Sanders go and just not take a quarterback in the first round. They got to take Sanders if he's there. I think. He says so many things don't make sense with new regime. I don't see any path yet, and that makes me worry. Actually, sad. Yeah, Robbie, this is how I feel. I try to figure out what it is that the Jets are doing and going to do, and then make sense of it, and then make videos about it. It's been hard. I can't. It's been hard to come up with videos to kind of explain. Okay, this is why this is a good move. This is why this is good. This is why they're doing that. Those are the kind of videos I like to make. where it's like, okay, I see the vision, I understand what we're doing, and then take some obscure move or take some move that people are negative on and say, actually, this is good because these three reasons, one, two, three. But with this rage, I just don't get it. I mean, it's now maybe as time goes on, the vision will become clear and we'll understand what's going on. But for example, if we're going to just be a ground and pound team, we need to sign a blocking tight end. We need to sign a right tackle better, much better than Chooks Okorafor. Where's that signing? And then you need to draft him as well, because if you're going to be a ground and pound team, you need to have the depth. Like a Jackson Hawes would be a great guy to draft, but you need a guy like a Mo Alley Cox to be a low cost veteran guy who knows what he's doing, and just in case the rookie takes a little bit of time, and that way, and it's not killing your cap or anything like that. Blocking guys like that don't cost much. Another thing, like somebody else said, Westbrook Akine, is a wide receiver that would be perfect for that. If that's what we're doing, you sign Westbrook Akine, you sign a right tackle better than Okorafor, and you sign Mo Alley Cox or somebody like that to be a blocking tight end, and then you draft in those areas as well to get the young fellas to come up behind. So that would be a direction. And if we were if we were going that direction, I'd be like, this is okay, great. This is what we're doing. And then somebody like a Jalen Milrow, becomes more of an option because you're going to say, this is what we are, this is what we're doing. We're not changing. We're going to basically get prototypical quarterbacks to fit our system, right? We're going to get the best elite runners we can. Hopefully they can throw and we can develop them over time to be better at throwing the football, right? But with the way we've gone about it, I don't see that vision. It's kind of like, well, we got Fields and we got Sherwood. Okay, that's good. And we signed a bunch of tomato cans and Brandon Stevens. It's like, okay, uh, all right. What are we? So it's concerning, Robbie. I'm telling you, it's concerning me. I don't get it. They may want to put sauce on the number one receiver. Yeah, so big deal. Uh, I mean, basically, we're gonna be running a lot of more cover one, so we may be in more man, but Reed was good in man, and Stevens hasn't been good at anything. He's been okay once and bad another time. These are depth pieces and cleaning up the cap. They have to have a good draft. Well, yeah. I mean, cleaning up the cap would make sense, except you gave 12 million a year to Brandon Stevens. That's not cleaning up the cap. Cleaning up the cap would have been taking that $12 million, giving four to Eccles, four to Conklin, and five to Onwuzurike. Then you would have a better cap situation, a better comp pick situation, and a better roster situation. So that's the confusing part. Activision says, I'm warming on Warren, but will the play calling match his talent? We don't know. We have a first time play caller. Woke TV. If Sanders it would be tough to turn down, but thinking of the circus show that follows because of his dad. Yeah, I mean, teams. That's why it's hard to say. We don't know what their evaluation is. Some teams will be very high. I mean, Mel Kiper has Sanders over Ward as the number one quarterback, for example. So some evaluators are going to have Sanders even above Ward. And if he falls to you at 7, they would say, "Yeah, take him immediately. He's that good." But other evaluators are saying, "No, he's more of a second round talent." And then you have the circus with Dion and all this. And I don't know much of a circus it would be, but you do have Dion sitting there, who is a high profile person in the media, who can, if you, if he feels like you're doing something wrong, he's going to go to the media and start talking about it. That's not appealing at all. So we'll have to see. Atomic clock. A plan would have made more sense. Right. Brown, Akine. Right. Exactly. Well, this is what I'm saying, Atomic. Yeah. You and I are on the same page, buddy. And then I could have made sense of it. And then I would come on and make videos about how this is going to work, how the comp pick's going to come into play, and we're going to do 2026. We're going to get all these draft picks. And also, if this were the case, we should be making trades for anybody with any age on them, like a Quincy Williams, for example. See what you can get for him, because it's going to be a full-fledged rebuild. So yeah, it's been a little weird, I must say. Infrared Jets is here. Pound the like button. Yeah, as a reminder, do pound the like button, but also subscribe to the channel if you would. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, and as of this morning, I looked, it was about 616. So we got a long way to go. Maybe if we get up to 1,000 subscribers, I can buy a new camera that knows how to focus on my head. Uh, this camera goes out of focus. I can't move my head. It goes out of focus. What good is that? It's supposed to be what? Am I supposed to be a statue? And look at that. Then it refocuses. It's so weird. So weird. What do you guys think about my new decor on the walls? Nobody says anything about the decor. What about that? Indy Jets. All this Warren hype is based on Brock's overrated numbers. Well, Warren's a very good player. Tyler Warren's a very good player, but he's a different player than Brock Bowers. But uh, Brock Bowers is more of a wide receiver and a tight end body. Now Warren is a good receiver, but he's also a very good blocker, and he can do multiple things. Uh, you could use him as a running back. You could use him as a quarterback. He also can throw the ball. He's like, he's got more versatility to his game. So they're both very good players, but they're different players. And so, I mean, Brock Bowers is a really good pass catching tight end. Great. How many games did the Raiders win yet last year? Not too many, but he's a good player for sure. But does that mean he would be right for us? Not necessarily. I mean, this year we're going to be running, grounding, and pounding. So we need blockers. That's the point. Is we need blockers for one thing. Meeks Okorafor, yeah. Well, how about quitter Okorafor? I mean, worse than being bad is when you quit. He quit on the Patriots. That's the thing that pisses me off about him. It's like we only saw he's got a minimum contract, so he's not going to be a big part of our team. But if he was just bad, it'd be like, all right, we gave him $1 million contract. He's probably not making the team. Who cares? But he quit on the Patriot. He quit. He left the team. He said, I'm leaving. I'm quitting. Now, unless there's a story behind that we don't know, which could be, so that's the asterisk with Okorafor, then I don't want him on my team at any price, under any condition. We're trying to build a culture here, and you're bringing in a guy who quit and said, I'm leaving the team. Goodbye. What? Sorry, I don't get that one, and I'm going to be forever critical of it until and unless we hear some kind of reason that makes sense of it. But we have heard nothing, and the way you would hear about it is through Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblatt, who the Jets leak stuff to when they need to leak stuff, and you haven't heard anything from those people about it. I mean, certainly, Muji's not going to come out and tell you why he signed a guy. They don't do that. But the way it works is you just leak it out to one of those two dudes, and then they put it out. Yeah, and here's a good point by Tony Alexio. What about Spielman and Savage? Phil Savage is still on staff. Like, I'm tempted to say that Muji's in over his head, but then we hired Spielman. We still have Savage. These guys have tons of experience. They know what they're doing, and so what's going on there? I don't get it. Hank G is here. Hank G says, "What do you think that the new regime is looking for affordable upside players hoping to build a competitive team through up coaching?" Well, this is exactly the point that Zach Rosenblatt made. So it's good that Hank G is reading Zach Rosenblatt and basically regurgitating the things that Rosenblatt's saying. So that's the spin that Rosenblatt's putting on it, Hank. But you could still do all of that. Brandon Eccles is young with upside. Levi Onwuzurike is young. He's 25 years old with upside. So the only one who doesn't fit into the mold is maybe Conklin, but for the amount you could get him, why not? And to me, then you have all of the tomato cans we signed. Okorafor, Tufele, Cowart, Weaver. These people stink. They're terrible. They're some of the worst people at their position last year. So to say we're just signing a bunch of young guys and we're gonna coach them up. Nobody else could coach them up. Byron Cowart was drafted by Bill Belichick and then released by Bill Belichick 2 years later because he was so bad. But we're gonna coach him up. Us. Brandon Stevens was let go by the Baltimore Ravens. They couldn't make anything out of him, but we're gonna coach him up. Us, the Jets, the ghetto team is going to coach up a guy who used to play for a team in the gated community. They couldn't figure out what to do with him, but we'll figure it out. Color me skeptical, Hank. But I understand. So, like this point, so this is an interesting point here. This point of view is what Rosenblatt put out in his article, and that's basically the Jets go working through Rosenblatt. This is the Jet. Rosenblatt knows nothing about football, so he has to get all of his football stuff from somewhere. So he gets it from the Jets. So he gets it from the Jets, right? And so this is the thing that they actually put out through indirectly through Rosenblatt, and Rosenblatt gets to pretend he came up with it, right? That's the game that gets played, and so that's fine, but that's also putting a lot of pressure on yourself that you are going to coach them up. You, a first-time head coach with a first-time offensive coordinator. Oh, really? We're going to coach these people up. Okay, okay. I mean, great. Maybe you're the greatest coaches who've ever coached. Okay, let's see it. I mean, we haven't seen them do anything, so but let's see it. So Stevens has upside. Okay, I understand. Justin Fields, yes, obviously, but Cowart, Tufele, Weaver, Okorafor, those don't fit the mold. Those guys are tomato can bums. Sorry, sorry. That's what you are. There's one more I'm forgetting of those defense. We signed like three defensive tackles who were just terrible, and we're gonna coach them up. Come on, color me skeptical, Hank. I guess I'd say. Yeah. Well, I would say we're seeing some of it. So yeah, but this is a good important point by Franklin Fung. Let's see. Let me just say this. Everything I've said so far today, in all of my pessimism, I would say I'm pretty pessimistic at the moment. But all of my pessimism from today's comments have an asterisk of this. Let's see how it plays out. Maybe there's something that goes on after the draft with the comp pick time expiring. Maybe there's something that goes on June 1st after we get more money under the cap because of our post June 1st designations. Maybe there's something, maybe we have a spectacular draft and we go, oh my God, Muji, the drafter is amazing. This is incredible. Maybe there's further trades to be made and then we go, oh, okay, now we see what's going on. So everything I've said does have the asterisk of let's see the entire offseason play out and then let's see what it looks like in training camp and let's get those reports and see. Maybe Brandon Stevens looks like a shutdown corner and it's amazing. We're going to play all kinds of man coverage and Sauce is going to play man and Stevens going to play man and they're just going to shut everybody down. And then, I don't know. So yes, should definitely see how everything plays out. But as we move along, there are people like me who are commenters on the state of the Jets, and every time you make a comment, it's as of that moment because that's the information that you do have. But it is important. We should give them a full off season. Let's see what it looks like in training camp. So that's for sure. But we will have our commentary along the way as well. I think you mean boycott. I think you mean Warren. Yeah. So Warren's interesting because he can block, so that helps, and then he can receive, which also, also helps. That's exactly right, Robbie. Well, I got news for you, infrared. We already have this information, and Conklin did not sign for over 10 milli. In fact, he signed a 3 milli, 3 million up to 4.5 with incentives. So he got a tiny little contract, infrared. If you missed it, and that sucks for us, and it also sucks as to why we couldn't re-sign him. So bad all around, really. Rosie gets what Hughes doesn't want. Yeah, Hughes is another one that they use, but I think so between actually it's between the two of them. It's like Hughes and Rosenblatt are like the two. Stainless joggers here. The Conklin move or lack of one is puzzling. Yeah, it's like really we couldn't afford $3 million. 3 million. I mean, people were projecting him at like 7.5. He got three with upside to 4.5. I mean, it's really puzzling. It's really puzzling. David says, Frankie, from a longtime Lions fan perspective, the Jets and every other team were concerned with the back injury that almost ended Levi on Wuzurike's playing career, had major back surgery. All right, but he played fine last year. I'm aware that he had a back injury. Well, let's look up Levi. And $5 million is nothing. That's the other thing. It's not like we're saying sign him for $20 million. He got 1 year, 4.5 million or something. Levi on Wuzurike, man. I mean, that's something you take a risk on. We could if you give him a 2 year, $10 million. This isn't coming up. 2 year, $10 million contract. Why is this not coming up? Um, that's not a big commitment. That's the sort of thing you take a risk on. Some reason this is not pulling up his stats. 21 solo tackles, 18 stops, I mean, he was good last year. Sorry, 69.4 overall grade, 33rd out of 219 DIs. Pass rush grade 67.1, run defense grade 64.1. 40 against the run, he was 41st in the league out of 219 defensive tackles. So to me, that's a guy that you can take a $5 million flyer on for me. And our back injury is scary, yeah, sure. But he played great last year. Now, how many snaps did he play? That's what I want to know. But this is not total snaps, 635. So played 635 snaps last year. So I don't know what the problem is. Again, I'm not giving him a $20 million contract like some of the other defensive tackles got. $5 million to take a chance. I mean, the guy's 27 years old and he's much, much better than everything we got. We're signing a bunch of tomato cans. We're going to get, and that was one of our biggest problems on our defense last year was running A gap duo, runs up the middle and just basically crashing out our defensive tackles who stunk. So now we replaced guys who stunk with guys who stink even worse. And this guy would have been a $5 million chance, yes, but he was much better than anything we were putting on the field last year. Much better. So that's the kind of guy I would have done. And Amber says, I love the Curtis Martin jersey. All right. Well, that's good. But look at this camera. It keeps what is going on? Maybe I don't know what to do. Maybe I have to keep it here. I don't know. Joe Mike says, Goff is a pocket passer. Yeah, exactly. No, we're not going to do this, Joe. Yeah, let me just say, I would be shocked, Joe, if we're going to run the Goffense with Fields. We're not running the Goffense with Fields. If we try to run the Goffense with Fields, we then have some of the worst coaches in the league. I'm sorry. You can't look at Jared Goff and Justin Fields and say those people can run at this point in their careers. Those people can run the same offense. No, no, they cannot. No, they cannot. They cannot. So if that happens, well, I will be quite upset. I'll tell you that much, Joe. But we can't. There's no way. There's no way, Joe. It can't be. It cannot be. We got to run the Lamar, Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray type offense. It's got to be. Got to be. Yeah, I bet we draft two tight ends. Yeah, Hawes, Robbie. Jackson Hawes is the guy I want. That's one of my guys. I know he's going to go somewhere else. I'm going to be so pissed on draft night, Robbie. That's a guy I want so bad. Uh, that's one of my. You should never. Now, I often say you should never do that and just put all your stock in one guy because you have to come up with a basket of players that you're comfortable with that are graded similarly. And because you can never tell. Somebody else might take him, and so you don't want to fixate on one guy. But man, he's one of my guys. It's hard not to do, right? It's like, man, that is one of my guys. And that's the sort of team that I would want to build. But again, it's hard to tell what sort of team we're building with some of these moves we've made. It's crazy. The max of the contract, 5.5, whatever. You could get him. So the idea being if you gave Onwuzurike 2 years, 10 million, eight guaranteed, he would take it because he'd be crazy not to. And that's not bad from a team perspective either. It's not terrible, but for him, based on what he got, if you gave him eight guaranteed, he'd have to take it. He would have to take it. Like he'd be stupid not to take it. And I don't think he's stupid. Indy says, I would like to double dip. Yeah, but then you're Indy. If you do that, you're neglecting your other positions. So that's why signing a guy like a Mo Alley Cox type or a Conklin type we could have had for 4 million then allows you to get one and then you can focus on the other. We have a lot of holes on this team. I don't think people understand the state of the roster. It's not good, especially on defense, especially the defensive line. And by the way, the last time we were looking at the roster, I left Michael Clemens off it. Michael Clemens is still on this team, by the way. Uh, Indy Jets with oops, with a $2 super chat. Well, I appreciate it, Indy. Yeah, we're gonna need a new camera. I mean, this thing is, I don't know. This is like an HD 1080p Logi camera, USB connected camera. Supposed to be okay. I don't know why. I don't know if it's Restream. I don't know if it's a camera. I don't know, but I appreciate it, Indy. Thank you very much. The Lions fan says regarding Jet strategy, Lions signed only one free agent to a 2 year deal. All others were 1 year contracts. Yeah. Well, the problem with that is we signed Brandon Stevens to a 3 year contract, 2 years guaranteed. So again, some of these moves are inconsistent. If we were going to get cap compliant and get a bunch of comp picks, that'd be fine. But we're inconsistent with that. So in other words, if we were going to do that, we should have just given a 1 or 2 year deal. We should not have signed Stevens, and we should have given a 1 or 2 year deal to Eccles, 1 year deal to 1 or 2 year deal to Conklin, 1 or 2 year deal to Onwuzurike, and now you've spread out those same dollars and you've maximized your comp picks because the $12 million annual value for Stevens is hurting our comp pick formula. And signing 2 out of 3 of your own guys back doesn't hurt your comp pick formula. Onwuzurike would count, but not as much. And so it seems to me that some of these moves are just weird. And we were told this is not a rebuild. So I think that for the Lions, it was clearly a rebuild back at that time. Campbell was coming in, all that. Now, they did have the advantage of securing Goff after that trade. So that's something we couldn't do. They traded Stafford, they got all the picks, and they got Goff. And so that's an advantage because you got your quarterback and you got all these draft picks. So um, one of the best trades probably in NFL history in terms of working out for both teams because the Rams went on to the win in the Super Bowl, of course, and then the Lions now are set up for success for the long term. But the uh, but this has not been that, and what you may not know, David, is that Aaron Glenn came in and told the media and told our players that this is not a rebuild and we're trying to win now. That's what he said. Not only to the media, which is speaking to the fans, but also to the players themselves. Quincy Williams and others got on the phone with him and said, "We're not rebuilding. Don't worry. We're trying to win now." So it's like, which one is it? The Stevens move is a win now move. All these tomato cans we're signing is a we're rebuilding and we just need roster filler moves. And so it's hard to understand what the vision is. If we were just following the model of what the Lions did, that'd be fine. And we would make trades like the Stafford trade, where we try to stockpile picks. Now, we don't have a Matthew Stafford here, of course, but we would trade probably somebody like Quincy Williams. Um, we would have tried to trade, made more of an effort to trade Devontae Adams, for example, for anything we could get, a sixth, something. Uh, and just do that and just stockpile picks. And then, obviously you're not going to spend in free agency if you're just total rebuilding it up. There's no need to spend. You just save your money, let it roll over for the next year. That's another thing to do. You do have to spend up to 89% of the cap in any given year based on a 4-year rolling average. But, uh, you know, you don't want to splurge. You don't want to lock yourself in. That's understandable. Uh, but some of these moves, and then why did we acquire Justin Fields? Justin Fields is kind of a win now move where we're trying to see if we can win with Justin Fields, who's a guy who we're hoping can be a reclamation project on the level of Sam Darnold and Geno Smith and Goff to a certain extent. So if that's the case, then why are we doing that? So it's been inconsistent, and so it's been confusing. It would have been logical to say, okay, they're just going to follow the Lions model, what they did. Okay, great. Then it would have been rebuild city this year, and we would be talking about the potential of Stone Smart, you know, all day long, and players like that. But it's hard to talk about the potential of Rashad Weaver and Jay Tufele. That's the problem. Now we do have we do have Hank makes a good joke here. Tomato cans and sauce. I mean, we do have people on defense. Don't get me wrong. We still have Quinn and Williams and Jermaine's coming back, and we do have Spinny McWhinney, who's terrible against the run but good against the pass. And we do have Sauce, and we do have Stevens, and then our safeties are a mess. Andre Cisco. I mean, uh, uh, but we do have him. We do have Sherwood and Quincy, and they're both really good. So that's something. But the defensive line is what I'm worried about the most. I just don't understand those moves. And we need like if we got a Mason Graham in the draft, would that be good? Yeah, that'd be great. But then now we still need a right tackle. I mean, so I don't know. Why did they push Rogers and Stevens hits for? Yeah. So how they develop the some manage the cap essentially. So Stevens has some dead money and void years. So does Fields, by the way, beyond the second year. Uh, and then Rogers was a post 6-1 designation. Where it's a way to maximize the cap space, but we don't get the cap space until 6-1. So for that, I'm going to let Muji cook in terms of like managing the cap. The bottom line is we have plenty of money to do whatever we want. We really do. If we want to sign and almost anybody, we have enough money and there's things you can do. So I don't worry about that so much. I don't love void years personally, but they are used and they are part of the formula and the cap does go up every year. Problem is player salaries also go up every year. So um if you're signing free agents, that is. So it's just the way they chose to manage the cap atomic, and so that's just what it is. Judy says, "What are your thoughts on Leonard Taylor?" Well, he played pretty good, but he's still an unknown. Now, I did exclusively report. Now that you're a member, Chidi, you would have got my exclusive report. Frankie from Flatbush Original reporting that Leonard Taylor has been working out all winter, I mean, all off season on the west coast of Florida. And one observer called it being in the lab. Boy, look at this camera. Being in the lab. And I put this out to the members of the inner circle. So now that you're a member, Chidi, you would have got this. Um, So he's been putting in, but the idea is he's been putting in the work. He hasn't been sitting around doing nothing. So he's been putting in the work. Seems to be pretty motivated to come back and play. And so for him, we got to see what he looks like in training camp. As for now, he's, somebody you want to basically, as for now, he's just in the mix. He's better than the guys we signed, seems like. And so he's in the mix. And what you really want him to be is your defensive tackle 3 or 4, really. You'd really like to have 2 guys better than him, and then he's in your mix, and now you have a really solid group. And if he does better than that, great. But I think you can't expect that. So you really want him in, but you don't want him to be your defensive tackle too. That's a bad spot. Now, maybe he comes in, blows the doors off in training camp, and you're like, wow, this guy's fantastic. Okay, that's great, but you can't really count on that. So right now he's in the mix. He's better than the guys we signed, I think, and we'll see how young fella does. And like I said, I had an exclusive report on him that he is working out. He is putting in the time, putting in that work in the lab, as they called it, and we'll see if it pays off. So that's good news. Does that mean it's going to pay off? We don't know. Lots of players do the same thing, and they sometimes don't do anything. But that's the good news. He has been doing that. Jojo says right tackle, defensive tackle, tight end, and receivers in the draft. Yeah, yeah, that's about right. And safety. Well, what about safety, Jojo? I mean, Andre Cisco and bunch of lint. I mean, we got nothing in that room. Got Tony Adams, Isaiah Oliver. I guess you could count as a safety backup. Yeah, Jedrick Wills is still out there, but there's a reason he's still out there. He's not great, and he's often injured. Um, Simmons, Diggs, Blackman get one. Yeah, but Joe, we've been saying this for a long time with these safeties. You know what I mean? Like there's been safeties out there on the market for a long time. Now there was a report, interesting report, in case you guys missed it, about Hufanga, Talanoa Hufanga, the safety formerly with the 49ers, and he signed with the Broncos. And apparently, we made a last ditch effort to sign him, a real last ditch effort to sign Hufanga. So we went hard after him, including, I guess we made an offer after he agreed to the Broncos deal, but hadn't signed it yet, which is allowed. So we were really trying to get Talanoa Hufanga on this team. That would have been great. But we missed on him, and then we pivoted to Andre Cisco, who's a significant downgrade from Hufanga. So, so in other words, the report on that was um, interesting in that okay, we're willing to go after safeties. That showed that we were trying to bring a safety here, and obviously it would have been a decent sized deal. Cisco got 10 million, but I don't think we know how much of that is guaranteed. I should see. There hasn't been any real announcements about that. But so that was we were making a real money deal to try and get Hufanga before we pivoted to Cisco. This just says 10 million, so no, there's no information. Interestingly, there's no information about Andre Cisco. salary, except that it's 10 million. I mean, I doubt it's all base salary 10 million. That would be unusual. So Cisco, for example, if we find out that Andre Cisco's deal is 5 million guaranteed and 5 million in incentives, that's much different, you know. Um, but Spot Track doesn't have information on it. So checking the. So we'll see how we approach the safety position with this regime. In the past, they've neglected it, of course. And there are guys out there, and there are always guys out there, and have been, and we haven't pursued them in the past. So we pursued Hufanga, we signed Cisco. We don't know the terms of the contract, the full terms of the contract for Cisco yet. And so yeah, we have time now. Maybe this is one of those situations where we're waiting for June 1st, or we're waiting for the comp pick period to be ending. Then we're gonna sign our safety. Okay, that'd be good. That would be good. That would be good. Disco Kid was a friend of mine. Is this a song lyric, B Trav? Is that a song lyric? Cisco Kid, like San Francisco? Or was he really a friend of yours? Well, if he really was a friend of yours, then we'll root for him extra hard, B Trav. We'll root for him extra hard. All right, so as the final thing, let's take a look at an early version of the reporter tracker. We got to keep a track of these reporters. We got to keep a track of these reporters. And I'm just starting this, so let me know your feedback. But we got to grade these reporters. And the way I have it down here is you got a tab for clowns, you got a tab for accurate, you got a tab for agent league propagandists, and then undecided. So the clowns, these clowns here, now we're keeping track of them. So these are the definite clowns: Tony Pauline, Diana Rossini, Zach Rosenblatt, Mike Silver, Rich Samini. These guys are definitely clowns. And the worst one of all, of course, is Pauline. Never ever take anything that Pauline says seriously. So Pauline gets an F minus, Rossini gets an F, Rosenblatt gets a C, Silver gets a D, and Samini gets a D plus so far. So let me know how you think we should keep track of these reporters and what they do. So the only one I have under accurate is Josina Anderson. I think she's the most accurate. She writes in cryptic, unusual ways sometimes, but I can't find examples of her getting anything wrong in her reporting when they say team's gonna do this or gonna do that, or when she's definitive about it. That's what happens. Now she's not always definitive, of course, but no reporter ever is always definitive. And then you have these league agent propagandists. So these people here are known as the insiders: Rappaport, Schefter, Pelissero, Garofalo, these folks. And all they really are propagandists for the league and for the player agents for the most part. So they get their information from the player agents for the most part, and then they just pass it along to you. And that's how they become an insider. And they make millions and millions of dollars. They add no real value, except it allows the NFL to say, breaking news, blah, blah, blah is happening, signing a contract, da, 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 da. So they don't know anything about football for the most part. They just get their information either from the league itself, because they're trying to propagandize something that the league is doing, or they just get it from the player agents, and then they pass along the information to you, which is good for the players and also good for the league. So these people are just like stenographers, They just pass information along. These people are the clans. They get things wrong all the time, and we're keeping track of that. And then eventually we'll have a situation where we'll do an award show for like least accurate journalist, most dirty journalist, dirtiest journalist of the past year goes to. Right now it's Rossini, who's just awful. I mean, I don't understand how she gets to keep her job and be such an awful reporter. Anyway, so that's something I'm working on. Let me know if you have any suggestions about it, what we should do. If I had a little bit more time, I was thinking of starting the Institute of Journalism, the Accuracy Ethics in Journalism Institute, or something of that nature. But it's a lot of work, so we'll just keep a spreadsheet instead. Bin Max is here. Hola. Morning coffee is nice and hot. Let's go. Yeah, let's have a little coffee because in the off season you got to stay caffeinated. All right, not seeing any comments on the reporter stuff, so we'll just keep an eye on that because I think it's important for people to know, which reporters are accurate, which ones are fair, which ones are bad, which ones are good. All right. With that being said, I guess we'll close out the show. Thanks for joining today. Please consider joining the Inner Circle, where you get exclusive items. Also, please consider just subscribing. That's for free. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, so we would appreciate your help with that. And or just click like on the video. That helps out the channel as well. And with that being said, I'll see y'all